won't shoot you until you shoot him.
Who's here?
Okay, who would you be cool with, Jeff?
My nigga Charles is cool. That nigga Mono is cool.
Yeah, we can have Sync, we can have Mono, we can have D1, we can have Kentai, we can have Beerus, we can have Two Tap, we can have Grand Priest.
Hold on.
I would say Batman, but that nigga love sucking. Yeah.
Don't say me, because I whoop whoever ass I got to.
Okay, I'll take Kentai.
Now, if you lose, I whoop your ass in the debate. Don't cry.
Yeah, then we woke.
Don't cry. Don't cry when I whoop you.
Then we woke up.
I'm saying don't lose. I whoop
Then
you.
we woke up.
Wait, you okay with? But I say if I do find a judge that I actually agree with, then I can send the recording to them and they can judge based off the recording.
I mean, that's just saying, like, can I send my friend the rec and they tell me I won? Sure.
No, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't send it to anyone you don't know. Like, are you aware? I would say you like you know like Charzes or like Mono or Noism or I don't know.
They're all your friends, but I mean, you can have Mono, not sure. But we're having somebody here, so you're getting a recording judge. We can have Haram SpongeBob.
Oh, he's gonna debate
we could have someone we could have someone to give like a verdict right now. Someone's actually listening right now.
Sure.
What you said? Fucking Gear 5 Luffy?
Yeah, we can have Haram SpongeBob and Gear 5 Luffy.
Alright. So what's your position, bro? My fault.
Yeah, my character wins.
Your character wins. You okay with me taking my character doesn't lose? Hello?
Who's your character?
I'm using the same character, Valdenava.
Who?
I'm using the same character.
No, not. It's literally
Well, I can't. Bro,
You want to do Luffy versus Luffy? What in the fuck?
That defeats the whole.
No, I'm saying I'm using the same character that I argue with D1. I'm not taking Luffy, nigga.
Oh, okay. I don't know who.
I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, who is he talking about?
His name's Valdenava. You ever watch Slime or Censor?
Yeah.
It's the god of that verse.
Okay, sure. I'll go first. Yeah, Luffy can do anything he imagines.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, anything within imagination he can do.
Anything within imagination he can do. So, what would that be?
Conceivability thesis.
So anything you can conceive of, like anything logically possible.
Well, it's saying anything that's conceivable is whatever is logically possible.
So, for example, let's say Luffy conceives of whatchamacallit. Let's say that nigga conceives of himself just not existing. Would that nigga just not exist? Would that nigga just de-exist?
Conceive of himself non-existent?
Yeah.
It's a contradiction.
You would. Okay. So you couldn't be able to do it?
It's if you're saying it's a contradiction, then like that doesn't deny my argument.
I wasn't saying it's not a contradiction. I was trying to get like a scope of to what extent he's able to do it.
No, it is. I'm saying it is a contradiction. So it's against. It's not against conceivability thesis.
It's not against conceivability thesis. You don't think contradictions go against conceivability thesis?
Yeah, no. It doesn't go against it. That's in the conceivability thesis.
Oh, okay. So then you can conceive of that, and it will become reality.
No, bro, you're not understanding. It outlines things that are logically possible, right? If anything is logically impossible, that doesn't go against the conceivability thesis. That's within its scope.
So you can conceive of it, nigga.
Bro,
you're saying contradictions don't abide by the laws of logic.
It explicitly covers contradictions. Like he's not getting. And then it says what happens if a contradiction arises. Dude.
What happens if a contradiction? What happens then?
I already. It's like bro.
All you told, bro, I ain't gonna lie. All I've understood from
You
what
want to
you're
move
saying
on?
so far is that nigga, not really, because I don't even know what you're arguing yet.
Okay, I can try one more time. Conceivability thesis is anything that is within conception are the things that are logically possible, right?
Okay. So he cannot conceive of things that are logically impossible.
I mean, you said like a double negative, but yeah. You're just saying, can he conceive of contradictions? The answer is no.
Okay. So can you prove that? Like, what would be the win con here? Like Luffy imagining him winning.
Yeah, any type of imagination that leads to him winning.
Any type of imagination that leads to him winning. Do you think? Okay, sure. So do you think he could? How to say my character is eternal, unchangeable, etc., etc. You think he'll be able to do something with that?
Is that a contradiction?
You said, is it a contradiction?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest, because I don't know. Like, I don't know how he would do it. So I'm asking you.
If it's not a contradiction, he can do it. GG. All right, let's move on.
If it's not a contradiction, he can do it.
Yeah.
I bet. Okay, I know what I'm arguing. You would call my character being omnipotent, omniscient, ontologically perfect, etc., etc.
Omnipotent. Why? Can you prove he's omnipotent?
It's implied, because
Can you show that?
I think it's not general.
Haram, do you want to read the scan?
Which scan he sent through?
I don't know. Some omnipotence scan?
You want me to read all three or a specific one?
Yeah, just read it out.
Okay. Why's my PC lagging? Holy shit. The nigga rolled up 30 Mac and then kept it moving. Oh my gosh. Although Guy understood it that way, he still had a doubt. That preconception is the same as mine, but it's a bit incomprehensible. What is it? Aren't you the creator? As the God who created us should be able to lead the world to its desired outcome. What need is there to rely on me? Ha 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 ha. That's because I'm not omniscient and omnipotent. At the time of birth, there was only my own consciousness, which was complete and lacking nothing.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna just read it because I can't.
So you kind of slow game.
It started because of what? What I
do. Okay, what part says he's omnipotent? I don't see that yet.
If you look down, it said that is to say, Veldanava by his own will gave up the omniscience and omnipotence.
Gave up the omniscience and okay, how does that mean he's omnipotent and omniscient?
The scan is the before he gave it up, the omniscience and omnipotence. Like obviously, he would have to have it to give it up. I interpret that as the unchangeable God, like the thing that says like he was like complete and lacking nothing. That's what he existed before. Simply made an avatar to experience change. The avatar that he uses to experience change itself isn't omnipotent and omniscient, and that's what he views himself as. So you could say he gave it up, but the omnipotence and omniscience is still there.
It's still there. I don't. Where does it say that?
Did you say so?
This is my first time being in Houston. I'm gonna put the cam down for a little bit because I'm being on this. But my first time being here, this mall is fucking.
Nigga, bro, did you say something?
Okay, wait, hold up. Yeah. He said it's not impossible that God will give up. Who's this? Even a guy who is no better than Mandava is like that.
Say his name's Geek Crimson. He's just a powerful ass nigga. He's the one who's talking to Veldanava, or the vessel, or the avatar, whatever you want to call it. Like that, when it says that is to say Veldanava by his own will gave up the omniscience and omnipotence, that's the narrator speaking. And then when you see it's in quotations or when it's in quotations, that's the actual character speaking.
Okay, one sec.
Why is Rimmer the go, bro? He's just like that. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. If he gives up omnipotence, that goes against his own nature.
You said if he gives up omnipotence, that goes against his own nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah. If he's omnipotent and has all powers, right? How does he give up that power?
I can explain that to you. So, the power itself is still there by virtue of the character being unchanging, but there is a vessel, which is the one that's making the quote that's saying he was omnipotent and omniscient, which is the thing that's not omniscient and omnipotent. So I interpret that as a form of giving it up, as in you act by virtue of your vessel, but your true
Yeah, I
form
would
is
just say
still
the
omniscient.
vessel, him and the vessel are not the same things. So this is a
Yeah.
contradiction.
How is that a contradiction?
Well, if he is a vessel, that's not him, right? That's just some other, like for example, Jesus isn't God. So,
That is not analogous. What the hell does that even
well,
mean?
wait, no, it literally is. So if God is in Christianity is all powerful, and Jesus is his vessel and doesn't have all the power, then that's just not the same person. So I think you're just conflating two different characters.
No, the whole point, if you read the scan, it literally says at the
You
time of birth
contend the
there was no.
argument, or
Bro,
like, just
you said
repeat the
what?
same. Can you
I'm
contend the
gonna give it.
argument, or are you just repeating the same?
I'm literally going to, but I'm gonna read out the scan to you just so I can be more clear. It literally
Okay.
says there was only my own consciousness. It's literally saying he claims the consciousness. That's his will, which was complete and lacking nothing. So that's him referring back to what he was originally. Now, if you read the rest of the scans, like there's another scan saying that there's a distinction between the character that's making the claim that he's not omniscient and omnipotent and the actual God of the verse, which is omnipotent and omniscient. There's a distinction. The vessel can act on its own, as in it's completely distinct from the character. But what I'm using is the fucking character that is omniscient and omnipotent. But you can refer to both as well as a novel. They're literally the same shit, but different. I don't know how else to explain it.
Wait, no. So if he had to make a vessel to lose his power, there was something he had to do, right? Or something he couldn't do at that time, which was he couldn't give up his power without making a vessel. Did you?
Like I said, the whole point is that if he were to give up property that
Yeah,
he
if he,
has, bro, nigga, wait, bro. If he gives up a power that he already has, even though he's unchangeable, yes, that would be a contradiction. He's abstract. He can't go through change, my nigga. There's no time and space here yet, but he can cause something to come into effect, or he can't cause something that comes into existence to act for him.
yeah, but that means that's one, that's not him. So for example, Jesus isn't God, and then two, if he had to make a vessel to give up his power, that means himself wasn't able to give up the power.
So wasn't able to give up the. You want to conclude,
Yeah,
bro?
he required a vessel to get rid of his power. Yeah. That's a mechanism, which means he couldn't do
Brother,
it himself without a mechanism. All right,
are you trying
we
to
can
say?
just
Are you trying to say that the vessel that he's using right now, the external factor existed before, like as he's existing?
no. If he, I'll explain it one more time. If he required an external vessel to get rid of his power, that's a mechanism, right? Which means he couldn't give up his power without that mechanism or without that vessel. So therefore, he's not omnipotent.
I'm not saying that he gives up the power in a literal sense, as in the omnipotence and omniscience is completely gone. He's still omniscient and omnipotent. It's not completely
But
gone. It's not like taking away the
okay,
property. I'm saying that the
but no.
vessel
If
he
he has a vessel, that literally means that he isn't omnipotent anymore because he doesn't exist in all points in space. A vessel is literally a material thing.
he doesn't
Um,
exist in all points in space. How is that relevant to the argument anyway?
that's an ability. That is an ability. It's a power. So if he loses that power or ability, then he's not omnipotent. So the statement is false.
He isn't omnipresent or anything. That has nothing to do with it. He's only omnipotent
But
as in he
that's
can
an
do.
ability. That's an ability.
It's an ability. It would be inclusive to omnipotence, but that's not something that he now
Yeah.
loses. The true
Okay,
form of
DJ,
him doesn't lose that
you want to
ability.
move on? Do you want to move on?
Do I want to move on?
Yeah.
Sure, man. What else? What other responses do you got?
Okay, can we get judgment?
Okay, hold
Let me
on.
get Kent. Oh, I forgot. It's wrong, not Kenta.
1 second.
Alright.
Okay, yeah, I give judgment to Gias negative. Performance, Gias mid, maybe low diff. That too.
Do you have any reason for that?
You want the reason for that? Yeah. So initially you guys start talking about if your character is omniscient or not. You sort of like drop that whole thing and just grant that the character is omniscient. But then he rejects it. He just gives like a contradiction of that by just saying, okay, your character is not omniscient because your character, right? No, he actually did two things, like two contradictions, not just one, sorry. The first contradiction was just him saying, right, that if your character had to, use a vessel, right, to give up his power, that means he didn't have the power to give up his vessel. No, his power without the vessel, right? So he doesn't have all power, which was sort of weird because Gias sort of, I guess, backtracked on his claim prior, but I guess you didn't call that. Initially, he was like questioning how you can give up power if you're omniscient, but I guess since you didn't call that, I'm still going to give that point to him. But even then, there was a second contradiction, which you didn't address. The second contradiction is if he has a vessel, right, then he isn't, at all points of space, right? So he doesn't have every single piece of power, right? So he's not omniscient. That's a contradiction. That's a P and not P.
He wasn't quite. You mean omnipotence, right? You're not conflating omniscience. You're kind of conflating omniscience and omnipotence.
Omnipotence, sorry.
But yeah, I was about to say. I do think I responded to all of that though because maybe I just wasn't as clear as I should have been. But the whole argument or the whole point in response to like the contradiction was that the vessel or the little avatar that represents him is distinct from him. He does not need but I say when I say give up omniscience and omnipotence, I'm not saying that he is quite literally like just taking away the property. I literally said that he cannot take away the property of omniscience and omnipotence. He's not losing anything. He's simply using a vessel to experience change because without that vessel, he cannot go through change. That would be a logical contradiction. So he couldn't do it. That goes against what I'm saying is omnipotence. That literally goes against what I'm saying. I'm not saying he can perform a contradiction. I'm saying that the avatar is only used to experience fucking change because that would lead, but I say it wouldn't lead to a contradiction if that's how it's working. That's how I interpret the scan.
Okay, you can address the second thing too, which I think you should, right? Otherwise, I would still give yes the point. But to respond to the first thing, I don't believe you said that. If you have a timestamp, I want you to grab that where you say that. And if it doesn't go contested, and I guess you have like a rebuttal to the second point, then I'll change judgment.
Yeah, sure.
If the rebuttal goes through.
I forgot the second thing you said, but
the second thing was just okay. He has a vessel, right? And since he has a vessel, that means he isn't present in all points of space, so he doesn't have this power. Since he doesn't have this power, he's not omniscient, right? Because if you lack one power, then that means you don't have all power, and if you don't have all power, then you're not omniscient by definition, omnipotent by definition.
I was about to say, I wasn't saying that. Yeah, that's literally just a fucking misinterpretation on Gia's part, my nigga. That would only be the case if the avatar itself was omniscient and omnipotent by virtue of being the avatar of the fucking will. I'm saying that the avatar is completely independent of the will. It's completely distinct from the will. It has no correlation other than the fact that it represents it, my nigga. So if the avatar doesn't have the ability to do something, that doesn't denounce the will being omnipotent. It doesn't denounce the will being unchangeable or perfect or anything like that. That's literally my argument the entire time.
This is gonna be similar to the first critique, right? The first critique is I don't think you said this on the recording. If you have said this on the recording, you can find a timestamp. But if it doesn't go contested, then the judgment also get changed for this, right?
Alright, so yeah, just look in the recording, man. I'm pretty sure I said all of that. And if someone else in VC,
sorry, I'm not gonna look for the recording. You're gonna have to grab the timestamp for me.
Oh man, damn, bro. I'll probably do it in a bit. I got work to do, but bro, can literally anyone vouch? Like, goddamn, like I don't think anyone was listening, bro.
I'm not taking a voucher. You're going for the rec. That's the only way I'm changing judgment.
Okay, bro. Well, save the rec.
Damn, clark back.
Yeah, bro, flip it. Save. Actually, you do it, yes. Someone else got to save that shit. It's not letting me save it, bro.
Save it?
Yeah, save it so he can look it up.
That was a W.